Well, here we are again. Thanks to Draymond Green, the Warriors are in position to, defend kind of the indefensible all at the same time. I think anyone who's ever been around sports understands that punches sometimes flow between highly competitive guys at practice. There is an element of this, Ray, that is no big deal. And I think that there are other moving parts of this that could absolutely metastasize into something that could be a big deal. And just the relationship dynamics of a team that is 2 weeks away from lifting the curtain on opening night. It's another one of those, seriously, Draymond? And man, your timing is just impeccable.
Well, here's the thing. I think the punch is the least lasting of the things that happened yesterday. Yeah, because those go away pretty quickly. But I'm not sure that I believe Kerr when he says that Jordan Poole has been an exemplar. I think he is exactly the kind of guy who very much wants to become the full-fledged part of the core and maybe acting like it because that was sort of his MO at Michigan. So I think he might be, a little bit, wearing bigger shoes than he's got feet for quite now against the veterans. And I suspect that that's what the real center of this is. I don't think that he and Green go at it about money, although that might be an undercurrent. I think it's the notion that Jordan Poole thinks he has done enough to stop waiting to become a material part of this. And the thing that has caused him to have to keep waiting is the fact that Klay Thompson's back. So how many minutes do you have in your backcourt? And I think he sees a frustrating thing there and wants to sort of force his way in. And I don't know that this is the team where that's done. Where Draymond Green goes crosswise is in not playing that dynamic smartly, is just snapping and, because clearly the two of them did something mutually that caused this thing to spark. So Green's final act is indeed indefensible, but clearly something's been leading to that. And I think that's probably the undercurrent that the Warriors are most concerned about, that they might have some sort of generational fault lines that they're going to have to monitor very closely this year. And the idea that, as Tim suggested, that Steph Curry is now supposed to be a more overt day-to-day leader is an indication that Steve Kerr and Bob Myers think their voices may not be strong enough to keep that under wraps.
Well, there's a lot there. I think we have two preeminent basketball trash talkers. I think we have one guy who has completely established himself in this league, trying to hold on to his status as my team, and a young man who's establishing himself in this league who'd like to pull a little bit more of the team to his side of the table, saying, it's my team. I'm a biggest part of this now as you are a part of this now. So I am your equal, Draymond. I am no longer your apprentice here. And oh, by the way, I dare you to make 5 jump shots in a row, big guy. Like, I could totally see how there is a Michigan State undercurrent of me poking you, you poking me poking you poking me. And like any Big Ten rivalry, at some point, you've poked enough and you've upset someone, and that's when a punch gets thrown. Draymond Green has also been a guy who clearly, when it comes to self-governance, comes up short. He comes up short. He has thrown multiple punches. He tried to fight Steve Kerr in Oklahoma City. This is someone who knocked out a college kid visiting East Lansing. This is someone who prides himself on being an agitator. It is his brand. It is part of the id of Draymond Green, and I believe that he thinks he needs to protect that part of his brand, and he's willing to go a step too far to remain the big dog on the porch when maybe he isn't as big a dog on the porch as the puppy that is Jordan Poole is becoming on this porch. I think that there's so many different dynamics. There is a generational gap. There is the minutes of an NBA game at hand. There are We were rivals in college, even though we didn't play each other. That's how Michigan State works. There is a certain amount of pie left to fight over in terms of the budget of the Warriors going forward. And as much as you want yours, I don't want to relinquish mine. There's so many different things going on here.
Yeah, but I think it's more than Green v. Poole. I think it's Green defending the idea that he was part of the group that put 4 rings up on the wall. And that when you push against that, for whatever reason, whether it's just minutes or, hey, I'm as good as you are, I mean, the truth is they don't play the same position. So it's not really that they're fighting each other for time. It's the idea that, and I think veterans tend to do this, whether it's Draymond Green or really any guy who's been around the league for a while. When they look at a guy in his 3rd year, they say, what have you done? And I think Jordan Poole is saying, yeah, well, look what I did last year.
Yeah, I think carried us for a moment of the year.
Yeah, and he was very impactful. He was not as impactful in the playoffs, but that's
the next
beside
step.
the point. Yeah, he's still got growing to do. But I think mostly what it is Green is sort of working outside his actual bounds by trying to defend the rights of the veterans. When in fact, most of the veterans will figure this out on their own.
You're onto something. You're officially onto something. And I think that if I saw someone mention this on Twitter and clicked the YouTube link to find out what Draymond could possibly, like, where did this boiling point come from? Because we all know that they just had like a very good, people felt great about it, healthy competition trip over to Japan, where there was this 3-point shooting contest where very much Jordan Poole and Moses Moody were talking about how, hey, it's a little bit our time. And I can promise you right now that Jordan Poole did more of the talking than Moses Moody did. And they were basically saying, like, hey, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, you're about to lose a 3-point shooting contest in Japan to us. And we're coming after you, and good luck holding off the young pups. And I think that is part of what Draymond Green got rubbed by, and this has been building maybe since that moment, and Draymond almost admitted as much on his own podcast on The Volume. Here's Draymond Green talking about that moment in Japan.
And so shout out to Steph and Klay. That was an absolutely incredible thing to watch. Like Klay said, I absolutely loved watching them humble JP, Jordan Poole, that is. That was fun. And then Jordan Poole tried to take the passive-aggressive route, like, oh, they only the best shooters in the world, but you weren't talking like that before, JP. So that was absolutely good to see.
In other words, you stuck your chin out, you got punched by the established veterans, which Draymond very much fancies. I'm with them, not quite with you. And there is a, you ain't ready for this, you're not quite part of this yet, element of Draymond here that sounds like it's born almost of jealousy in a weird way. Like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson need no defending by Draymond Green. Like, he doesn't need to be their mouthpiece. And he's like, oh, I'm so happy that, Klay told Jordan to, hold that in terms of the loss in the 3-point shooting contest. And he needs some humbling. And Draymond obviously had not been satisfied with the level of humbling. And the minute Jordan Poole turned around to challenge him in practice, this entire pot of boiling water simmered over.
Well, but here's why it matters. Because I don't think it's just simple jealousy. I think it's the notion that the Warriors, since 2014, even before the first championship, they never allowed internal fault lines to get in the way of the main goal. And if the young guys are feeling like it's our time now, the implication there is that it's not your time anymore, which means now they're looking at this as a team that's in the way of what we want to be. And that's not
Draymond's
the Warrior
wrong
way.
to look at that. He's wrong to look at it from that perspective. He really is. If that's the way he's looking at it, he's looking at it the wrong way.
No, I'm not saying he's looking at it. I'm saying that the young guys might be looking at it the wrong way too, because I think this is a team that has always operated on the notion that you pull together in the end. And if the new dynamic is we're getting tired of waiting for this to be our time, because remember, Jordan Poole had to wait 2 years to even get a serious look, in much the same way that Draymond did. I mean, that's also the Warrior way. You don't get rushed into the team. Stephen Curry didn't get rushed into the team. The guy who had the shortest transition, if you want to be honest, was Thompson, because they found that they needed him right away. But the truth is, the Warriors don't rush young guys in and go, here, it's your time immediately because we just decided it's your time. You have to earn your time. And the truth is,
I think Jordan Poole believes he's earned it, and that's why he doesn't want to hear another word in practice about what he isn't.